Welcome back to Comics with Drew. I'm Drew, and today I've got a review of an awesome book. Today I'm doing a review of Daredevil number one. Daredevil number one. Look at that. Look at that cover. That is an amazing. That is an amazing cover. Hello, Marvel. This is how you're supposed to do it. All right. You've got an epic image of the primary character Daredevil on this book being Daredevil-y and being awesome. So this book is by Chip Zdarsky, and it's also it's drawn by Marco Checchetto, is how you pronounce that. And there's a backup story with Rafael Della Torre, and then we have Matthew Wilson on color. So this is an amazing book, right? I am not actually. This is the very first Daredevil comic book that I've ever read. My experience with Daredevil has primarily been through the Netflix series, and I know about Daredevil, and I know about the character, and I've known about the character for a very, very long time. I just never really got into reading Daredevil stuff. I think I may have read, actually, I don't know, I, I might have read a Daredevil comic book sometime in the last 30 years, but this is the first one I've officially actually read and intentionally read it and went out and bought it. And goodness gracious, it is an amazing book. So Chip Zdarsky is this is a busy guy, right? He's writing Batman at DC and he's writing Daredevil at Marvel, and it's funny because not only is he writing the main stories, he's writing backup stories for both. And not only is he doing those two, he's doing his own book called Public Domain that he's actually drawing as well as writing. So, I mean, this guy has really got a lot of irons in the fire, right? Chip is really doing a lot of work, but the work is not suffering. So, Daredevil number one basically does a launch of Daredevil. It does a launch of a major character like it ought to be done, right? So we've had a bunch of different number ones recently with Marvel. We've got Daredevil, we've got two different Captain America books, we've got Spider-Man, and we've got Carnage. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that are going on, but you can always see where you got, well, when you actually put together a quality team, you can have an amazing result, and that's what's happening in this book. One of the things that I like about Daredevil is that in an ocean of politically progressive and socially progressive characters and issues that are consistently crammed down your throat in comics, Daredevil or Matt Murdock is one of the very, very few characters for whom their personal faith is very important and one that Marvel tends to respect. So, Matt Murdock is a deeply Catholic character, and a lot of the imagery, because of the fact that he's like Daredevil and he looks like a little devil, they juxtapose that with a lot of Catholic imagery for really great dramatic effect. And it belies the fact that he's actually incredibly deeply religious and that his faith means a lot to him. And I think when comics and writers explore these things with respect and understanding and nuance, you could have some of the greatest stories you will ever read. So it's something that I think that we have been lacking in a lot of comics these days. But with this story, Zdarsky really nails it. And what I love about it, and I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but they do something that, I think Zdarsky understands the character very, very well. Now, I know that this is not his first crack at Daredevil. He had another run at Daredevil, which a lot of people considered to be the definitive Daredevil. And actually, it was funny because I was telling someone about this, and he said, "Oh, what you need to do is you need to read Zdarsky's Daredevil, right?" And so I'm like, "Okay, great." And then the next thing I know, boom, there's a number one Daredevil coming out, and I had no idea that this was occurring. So I called up my local comic shop and I said, "Hey, do you have Daredevil number one?" And they hooked me up. They put aside a copy for me, and I went and I picked it up, and it's an amazing book, right? I cracked it open, read through it in a hurry. What I love about the way Zdarsky's writing here is he's kind of writing it like it's, I don't know if you've never seen Pulp Fiction, there's a lot of different stories that are being woven together independently, but at the very end, they all come together as one point, and everything kind of makes sense. It's like you've got all these different things that you kind of see going on at different times, and then boom, at one point, they all intersect, and it's a really neat narrative structure. And that's what Zdarsky is doing with this story to start number one. And then on top of that, we have a backup story featuring Elektra and Stick. And, you've got the best characters all in this issue. I mean, he hits this book and he just crushes it, right? All the characters that you care about, that you really, really want to see, are in this. In fact, not only that, Spider-Man is in this, and I will say that the art on Spider-Man here is just amazing. That's Spider-Man. That's the way Spider-Man looks. So Checchetto, he's an Italian artist. He's just murdering this thing. I mean, it's amazing. So Zdarksy, Checchetto, I mean, this is a must read. If you like good comic books, this is a must read, okay? I don't care if you're into indie stuff. I don't care if you're into only mainstream stuff. I don't care if you're a DC fan or an Image fan or a Comicsgate fan or a Kickstarter fan. I don't care any of that stuff. If you like good comics, you will read this book. That's how good this is. Wholeheartedly recommend. 5 stars out of 5 stars. So the art on the book is amazing. We're going to go over some of the art right now. Now, the first page starts off with something that I have railed against. Okay, I hate 9-panel pages, and I've gone on about this at length, where I think 9-panel pages are terrible unless they're done very, very well. And usually I say, unless you're Alan Moore, you shouldn't be doing it. Well, let me modify that. Unless you can write like Alan Moore and actually have a point to it, you shouldn't be doing it. So Zdarksy qualifies. So we have an opening 9-panel page, and what I love about this is that it actually shows you a whole sequence of events, and it gives you an idea of what's going on visually, and it looks fantastic. A lot of 9-panel pages are basically the same panel copied 9 times and slightly modified. That's garbage. I hate that. That's not what's going on here. Page 1 of Daredevil #1 just kicks off with an excellent use of that motif, and I dig it. I really do. The next panel I want to talk about is this panel here, and look, we've got white webbing. What's so hard about it? What is so hard about it, guys? It's right here. This is how it's supposed to be done. That way you don't have Fisher. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to get into Spider-Man. I'm not going to get into Spider-Man on this review because I'm not going to taint this review and taint this awesome book with that garbage that's being pumped out at Spider-Man right now. So, but suffice it to say, this is the way it's supposed to look. And then we've got this other page here where, boom, that is Spider-Man. That is a sexy drawing of Spider-Man. That is the way he looks. You've got Daredevil, you got Matt Murdock. This just looks amazing. This art is evocative, it's dramatic, and it makes sense. It's beautiful stuff, right? Next page I want to talk about, we have Matt Murdock or Daredevil. Daredevil is showing up at a train that's leaving. The train has just left. Here you've got Daredevil swinging in. Now you've got him landing. Now you've got his, sense, his radar sense that he has, and the train leaves, and then he's sitting there dejected. This page flows perfectly, and here's one of these things when I talk about how you should communicate artistically and visually with your art. You've got the train leaving, right? And the light is getting dim, okay? Daredevil shows up, his face is shadowed, then he lands, there's people looking around, and what he's looking for is not here, and he sees that, and then he sees the train leaving, and then he's dejected. Now when the train's leaving, that's when it gets darkest. So you've got blacks all the way around, and it's the finality of the failure of what he's trying to do crushing in on him right there. And then he sits dejected at the end. That's awesome visual storytelling. That's how you do it, okay? This book is amazing. It is full of stuff like this. I'm only giving you a couple different tastes on this. You've got to take a look at the book. If you like Daredevil, if you like the Daredevil TV show on Netflix, you will dig this. If you like the previous Zdarksy run, I am pretty sure you're going to dig this as well. So that's Daredevil #1. There's nothing I can find to complain about this book. It's an amazing book. You should go pick it up right now. So again, Zdarksy is crushing it. He's writing Batman. He's killing it there. He's got a great B story in that book. He's got a great B story in this book as well. So it's worth it cover to cover. It is worth every penny. So again, this is my first Daredevil book that I've actually gone out and bought to read and talk about. And let me tell you what, by the way, I think that this cover is great. There is a John Romita Sr. and Jr. cover of it. And you can tell why John Romita Sr. is a legend and maybe John Romita Jr. is not. but they actually do a cover together, so you can pick that one up if you want. There's a bunch of other different covers that look fantastic, but for my money, I love the main cover. So again, pick it up, Daredevil #1. It came out last week. It's an amazing book, and I cannot wait to. In fact, this is on my pull now. I cannot wait to read the next issue in this particular run. And it starts off. It's a new #1, and it's definitely worth it. Okay. So again, thanks for watching Comics with Drew. I'm Drew, and I'll catch you next time.